This is my Allsky camera, a homemade sky spy that never sleeps and doesn't mind a little rain. Stick around after the time lapse. I'll show you exactly how it all came together and how you can build one yourself. This is what the Allsky camera captures every clear night, from meteor streaks and satellites to the glow of the Milky Way. It's like having a window to the universe, right from my observatory. I've listed all the components I use down in the video description, just in case you want to join the club of people who look up more than they look forward. Let's take a look at how it's built. At the heart of the system, under this heatsink, is a Raspberry Pi 5. You can use a Pi 4 if you already have one, but for a little more money, the Pi 5 gives you a nice bump in performance. It's basically a credit card-sized single-board computer that provides excellent performance in projects like this. The heatsink helps keep it from cooking under the summer sun, which, as you know, is basically nature's stress test for electronics. Depending on which Allsky software you choose, there are a bunch of camera options. I went with the Raspberry Pi HQ camera and a 120-degree lens from Arducam. It's a great combo for wide sky coverage without too much distortion. You'll also find all sorts of enclosure ideas online. Just search for Allsky DIY builds, and you'll see everything from high-tech marvels to what looks like Tupperware taped to a pole. For mine, I used an 11 by 8 by 5 inch weatherproof box. I wanted a little extra room inside to work, and honestly, trying to cram all this into a tiny box sounded like a good way to invent new curse words. I mounted the camera on a plastic box using standoffs to raise it up. That made sure the lens sits high enough under the dome so it doesn't catch the edge of the enclosure in the shot. To power the Pi 5 in the camera, I used a 12-volt to 5-volt step-down converter with a USB-C connection. Just make sure the converter can handle at least 5 amps or 25 watts. The Pi 5 is a bit power-hungry. Some converters only push 3 amps, and that's not enough unless you enjoy random reboots at 2 a.m. The green power distribution block connects to my 12-volt solar system that runs my observatory. It powers the accessories that can't run directly off the Pi. One of those accessories is the dew heater ring. I finally retired my homemade version, you know, the one that looked like a science fair project held together by hope and hot glue. Turns out, not everything needs to be made from spare resistors and regret. The heater keeps condensation off the clear dome. Without it, you get unusable images like this one. And if there was a meteor streaking across the sky, well, you'll never know. Since the heater doesn't need to run all the time, I use a Wi-Fi power relay that turns it on at night and off when the sun comes up. I use these all over: the observatory, the chicken coop, basically anywhere I've convinced solar power to run something it wasn't expecting. Next up is a temperature controller that powers a 12-volt fan. Those little waterproof vent plugs worked great in the spring. Nice and cool, gentle airflow, everything was happy. Then summer showed up and turned the inside of the box into a slow cooker. So I added a fan before my camera baked itself into a casserole. The controller is programmable for pretty much any temperature range. When it hits the set point, it kicks the fan on. Once it cools a few degrees, it shuts off again. Simple, reliable, and no more roasted electronics. Of course, cutting holes for the fan meant new problems, like keeping out rain and bugs. And as every DIYer knows, you usually end up having to build solutions to the problems you create. So, I designed vent covers in Blender, a free 3D modeling app, and printed them with ASA filament, which is UV resistant and tough enough for the Arkansas sun. I added window screen behind the vents and mounted them to the sides of the box. The result? The enclosure now stays under 120 degrees even on the hottest days, which, for a sealed box in full sun, feels like a miracle. For the acrylic dome, I found a budget-friendly 4-inch option on Amazon and cut a 3-inch hole in the lid using a standard hole saw. I sealed it with Lexel, but be careful which sealant you choose, since some can off-gas and fog the acrylic. And handle that dome gently. These things scratch if you even look at them wrong. Finally, I added 2 small extras that aren't required but make life easier. A little LED light lets me see at a glance that it's powered on, and a power switch, because after the third time shutting down the Pi from the command line and crawling under the observatory desk to power cycle, I realized I'm not getting any younger. Alright, the last step is getting your Raspberry Pi up and running. You'll need to install the operating system and then load your choice of Allsky software. I've included a link in the description to a video that walks you through installing the Raspberry Pi OS onto your SD card. You'll also find links to two great software options, TJ Allsky and Indie Allsky. Both are fantastic. TJ Allsky is a bit more beginner-friendly, while Indie Allsky is better for power users who like to tweak every setting, just because they can. Hopefully this video helped you out. If I missed something or you've got a question, drop it in the comments. I'll do my best to help. And if you get really stuck, there are some great Facebook groups full of Allsky builders who are always happy to share tips, advice, and sometimes pictures of clouds. Thank you for watching.